Good evening, everyone. My name is Russ Gannum, and I am the Associate Provost and Dean of International Programs at the University of Iowa. It is my great pleasure to be with you this evening to inaugurate our new Global Alumni Spotlight Series. Tonight's episode is called Hoops and Hawks, a conversation with Luka Garza. Please let me thank our communications and constituent relations team in international programs, as well as the University of Iowa Athletic Department and Hawkeye Sports for their help in putting together tonight's program. The goal of the Global Alumni Spotlight Series is to showcase the accomplishments of UI graduates who are either from international destinations and or who have distinguished themselves in global venues. Luka Garza fits this definition perfectly, and I can think of no better person with whom to start the series. Luka is a student athlete from the Washington, D.C. area who graduated from the Tippie College of Business with a degree in economics this past May. He is a dedicated member of the Hawkeye community, having read to students at Horn Elementary School in Iowa City and visited patients at the Stead Family Children's Hospital. He has also participated in Iowa's annual Day of Caring multiple times. And last but not least, Luka is known to all of you as the star of the Iowa men's basketball team the past few years. There are few collegiate athletes as decorated as Luka. The list that I'm about to cite is not complete, but this past year, and you'll see this on the screen, Luka Garza was named Consensus National Player of the Year, as well as the winner of the John R. Wooden Award, the Naismith Trophy, the Lute Olson National Player of the Year Award, the Oscar Robertson Trophy, the Sporting News Player of the Year, as well as the AP National Men's Player of the Year, and the National Association of Basketball Coaches Player of the Year. Luka is also the 7th leading scorer in Big Ten men's basketball history, and of course, the #1 scorer in Hawkeye men's basketball. Luka comes from a long line of athletes, many of whom reside in Bosnia, where his mother was born. And Luka's mom, Shayla Garza, will be joining us in a moment for part of the interview. I think I can speak for every member of the audience in thanking Luka for all the excitement, the leadership, and the grit and determination you showed over the years. You will always have a home in Hawkeye Nation. It's an honor to welcome you this evening, and we wish to express our deepest gratitude for being the first guest on the International Program's Global Alumni Spotlight Series. And just a note that the audience can submit questions through the Q&A function in the webinar. We will answer as many questions as we can near the end of the broadcast. And before we begin, we'd like to show a Big Ten TV narrative video on Luka that gives you a better sense of his drive and determination. Saralta, please roll the tape.
A lot of people don't like the working hard and the workout. That might be my favorite part. Basketball means everything to me. It's the reason I get up in the morning. It's the reason I go to sleep at night. There are a couple important days in your life when you're born and when you find out why you were born.
Garza again. Oh, beautiful move against Castleton.
Basketball was why I was born.
Boom. Good catch. Boom.
4-6.
Good splash. Splash. When did I know Luka was good? Well, good catch. First off, you have to have conviction and love for what you do. And if that's the case, everything's going to go well. Step. Good. I like it between the legs. Boom.
I just love every aspect of the game. A lot of people don't like the working hard and the workouts and all that stuff, but that's, that might be my favorite part. Going to the gym as many times, working harder than everybody else and just having that chip on your shoulder. That whoever you line up against, they didn't put in the work that you did. My dad and my mom taught me at a young age what, work ethic is.
Luka, as soon as he started walking, he had basketball in his hand. I played basketball, my husband played basketball, I have a twin sister that played basketball, my brother-in-law played basketball. It was something that I loved, so I think he gets that from me.
Garza, he's a coach's dream. He just keeps playing.
The drive, he's got it from both of us, from my husband and me, to get better and to improve. And it's just being part of that competitive world that you're not going to get somewhere without, putting the time in.
Every summer I go back home, it's when I start working out with my dad again.
Go middle.
I always come to my dad when I have problems or when I want to improve something in my game.
3, 2, 1. Got it. Free throws.
Summer was just a huge focus on my three-point shot. I'd always had it through high school, and I've always been really comfortable with it.
Now Garza again for three, and that one goes as well.
It's just not fair. Luka Garza is so good in the post. Now he's pulling back from the three with no hesitation.
Kiss. A kiss. Lift that leg. Here we go. Come into me. Okay, boom. Kiss it. Kiss it. All right. The goal for working out with Luka is simply, as a father, helping his child want to achieve his dreams by investing in himself. Putting the time in to get ahead works in any area of your life, but it was a great chance for me to teach it through the modality of sports, particularly basketball.
That's just terrific, Luca. Thank you for all of these highlights over the years. And welcome, Luca, and welcome, Shayla, as well. We're delighted to have both Luca and his mom with us this evening. First, let me ask you, how are you both? How has your summer been so far?
Good. We're happy to spend some time together because throughout the COVID, when I saw Luca at the senior night, that was the first time since August that I was able to travel and see him. So it's amazing now that he's close, that he's home. So it's wonderful.
That's great. That's great. And Luca, how's your summer been up to this point?
Oh, it's been great. I signed with the agent here local in DC, which is awesome because I'm able to see my family and work out and improve myself. So it's been really fun. And obviously I graduated recently, so it's been a good summer so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Well, that's terrific. And so we've got some questions for both of you. And let me just start with the first one. And so, it's because, we here are focused on international programs and global affairs. We would like you to tell us about your Bosnian heritage, Luca and Shayla. How do you connect with this part of your family history? And do you both travel to Bosnia on a regular basis?
Yes, we do. Since the kids were, Luca's first birthday, he spent in Italy with my sister and my family. Mm-hmm. So I have a twin sister that lives in Italy and with her a family. And then my parents were in Bosnia and the rest of my family. So we were trying to go every year and spend as much time as possible over there. And then they would come and visit us here. So Luca and my daughter, Tessa, they both got exposed to Bosnian culture at a young age. First birthday, he had party time in Europe. So yes,
that's great.
We try to always spend time with my family.
And are you connected still, like with linguistically and with the cuisine and all of that?
Yes. Well, I spoke with Luca and when he was born. For a couple of years, it was only every time I talked to him, it was in my language, and so he knows and he can pick it up. Like in a couple of weeks, spending time in Bosnia, he can pick it up and communicate. He understands everything. It's just a little bit. It takes him just a little time to communicate back. But he kept it throughout the year and throughout the years. And every time he gets together with my nephews or my mom was here last winter, he tries to talk and he understands everything. So yes, he kept great. Up.
And Luca, what's your favorite Bosnian dish?
It's my favorite food of all time. I'd take over any other food. Pita, it's a Bosnian dish. It's kind of phyllo dough that is cooked, and my favorite is the spinach and feta cheese one. There's also meat and potatoes and cheese, and obviously cevapi is another big dish in Bosnia. That's also one of my favorites. But no, it's My mother is obviously an amazing cook. Her mother was as well. So, every time I'm back in Europe, I'm eating food from grandma and my aunt. And then when I'm back home, I still get the Bosnian food from my mom.
That's great. That's great. Well, there's nothing better than your mother's or your grandma's cooking, but I have to ask, I mean, DC is a big place. Are there any Bosnian restaurants there that you go to every once in a while?
In Alexandria, there's a there's a couple places in Virginia that serve Bosnian food, and we go there regularly. My mom obviously goes there to get groceries and different stuff, so she cooks with that kind of stuff. And also they have, a place to eat. And so, actually also in Iowa, I met a family that was Bosnian, and I actually went over to their home, during one of the times that I really couldn't come home and see my mom and be able to eat that food. I was missing it, so I was able to go over and visit a bunch of great food.
All right, that's terrific. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And then, with your family life, especially, I mean, you've got food and language that connect you to Bosnia, but also sports, and in particular basketball. I guess, Shayla, one question I wanted to ask you is, could you tell us a little bit about your family lineage in sports, because it's quite illustrious, and I know the audience would love to hear about that.
Well, my father was a soccer player, and so he had passed away a couple of years ago, but he had 4 grandsons, but they all decided to play basketball, not soccer. So, but because they all got tall, our husbands are tall, so everybody's above 6 feet. So that was something. But my father played soccer all his life. I grew up in a family that was all around the sports. My mom even played European handball. They don't have that sport here in the United States, but they do over there. So later, when he retired, he ended up coaching and finished his career in Japan coaching. So it's a quite amazing career that he had in Bosnia, abroad in Austria, and then at the end in Japan. So I grew up watching soccer, basketball, and then of course I have a twin sister. When we started to see what we want to do, and it was a little bit hard for girls to do whatever they want to do. But we started playing basketball. There were teams in Bosnia that we started in 4th grade and end up on a first team, professional team in Bosnia. So she and I, she's 25 minutes older than me and always played a little bit better than me. But we played together for a long time, and all other sports. Sarajevo is known for Winter Olympic Games as well. And so there, coming from a family that with athletic background, then we did any kind of sports that was available to us. We skied, we did volleyball, anything that they needed girls to do. Okay, we would start and help in high school and college. So it's part of our family. That's how we grew up. And then Luca got exposed early age to ball. Everywhere you would look around my family house, there's a soccer ball. There's my dad with some trophies and medals and all that. So it was exciting for them to see it all and experience it with my dad.
No, that's wonderful. And Luca, tell us a little bit about how that lineage and that sort of family history affected you, and then let us know how your mom acts as kind of your coach. How does she advise you with respect to your game?
Well, as a young kid, it was inspiring, obviously being around my grandfather. And we'd walk around Bosnia and, people were asking for autographs, asking for pictures, similar to, sometimes I experienced that myself this year, especially. And so it's something that, it was always, I wanted to be like him. I wanted to grow up and be that good at what I do, to where people know who I am and respect me. So, that was a big thing. And obviously, growing up in a family that was surrounded by very good, basketball players and soccer players or whatever. My uncle also being, one of the leaders or the leader of Slovenian national team history in points. And so, I was around a lot of great minds, and that kind of built me into who I am as a hard worker and as a person. And that's why, I do what I do. But for me, my mother was always there, and she still always is there. I get a call after every single game, reviewing my play, critiquing my play. Everyone's, celebrating how
Constructive criticism.
Right. Constructive criticism.
And I'm hearing from my mom on things I can do better, and it's very valuable. Obviously, I have a strong, parental guidance in both, my mother and my father, and I'm very lucky about that. And my mom, there's throughout my life, taking me to practices, taking me to games, coming to watch me play, giving me advice. I've always learned so much from her, and as much as I've learned from my dad.
Right. And so, who's the tougher critic, your mom or your dad?
I think when I was younger, my dad was the tougher critic, and I think it's kind of flip flopped. And now my mother is a little bit harder on me than my dad. It's somehow, at some point it flips, but no, it's amazing. I'm very lucky to have the parents that I do, that support me in the way they do, and I know that not every kid has that, and so I'm just extremely lucky.
Right. And you have a sister, Shayla. I know, Shayla, your sister is a twin and a basketball player.
And her name is Layla.
Okay, Shayla, yes. And then Layla. So
yeah, well, she is the reason why I came to United States, because she was dating Teoman Alibegovic, my brother-in-law now. Mm-hmm. And so he was offered a scholarship to play basketball at Oregon State University in '88, and they got married and they came to live in Oregon. Okay. And he went to Oregon State University, and they spent almost 4 years in Oregon while he was studying. So one summer I came to visit, and I went back home, and then the war started in Bosnia of '92. But I was fortunate that summer that I just came here as a 22-year-old just for a couple of months, and I had a visa in my passport that would allow me to come back, and it was a multiple entry a visa. So when the war started, my parents just wanted me to leave the territory because it was looking that it's going to get really bad. And I was so lucky and so fortunate to come and then come to Oregon. So I lived with my sister and my brother-in-law in Oregon, and then they moved back to Europe, and I stayed because they came, and you probably from the international students, all different possibilities how students can stay and go to school and get education if they are from different countries where is war. So I was awarded temporarily protected status that I couldn't travel back home, but I can stay in the United States. I can go to school. I was able to get an employment card. So I was able to go to work and go to school and be here on my own. So I went back to Oregon State University, and I was part of their international program as well for students that they have that gave me all this information, what to do and how to be able to stay in the United States. So that's the reason. Basketball, of course, but also the opportunity from the United States that they awarded the status for, that I didn't have to, become a refugee, but it is some form that I was able to stay and go to school, and I'm here.
Well, that's wonderful, and we're grateful that all that you were able to have those opportunities.
It was quite amazing.
Yes, and so what did you study at Oregon State?
I went to School of Business.
Okay,
economics. Yes,
very good. It's like your son. So
I know. So yes. Later, I switched to finance, so I graduated in finance. But yeah, that was School of Business.
Very good. So he continues to imitate you in his professional, well, in his
Yes.
in his academic life as well as his athletic.
I was helping on homework too.
Right. That's great. That's great. So you're his coach and his tutor. That's,
Yep.
That's awesome. Which kind of, brings us to the next question, and that is, why Iowa? I mean, for both of you, from your standpoint, Shayla, as a parent, from your perspective, Luca, as a student athlete, because I know you had multiple offers. We know that the DC area is a beehive of activities. There's all sorts of recruiting that goes on there, but why Iowa? Maybe Shayla, you first. What appealed to you about the UI, and then we'll ask Luca to share his perspective.
Well, when I first time came to visit, and actually it was the weekend, but he already decided that he's going to go there. The sense of community, it was quite amazing. And a sense that everything is so connected through the university that I think it's just so valuable for students and athletes to have that. And it's, yes, he grew up in a big city. I grew up in a big city, but I think for to being connected to the people, to the school, it just really, I had that when I was at Oregon State. It's, Corvallis, a small town outside Portland. And so it is quite amazing to be part of that community. I think you get immersed into school, you get immersed into sports. It's you focused on what you need to do, and people were just amazing. So I think that's what he got sense too, besides of course coach and a team, but when we were there, it was, when I came to visit, it was just quite amazing. The warmth and the sense of community in that place. It was really nice.
Right. Well, I can definitely see the link between Corvallis and
Yes.
Iowa City. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that would kind of remind you of your college days.
It really did. It was familiar. It wasn't like something, oh my God, what are we doing here? It was familiar.
Very good. And how about you, Luca?
For me, there were a lot of different reasons that went into it. As you mentioned, towards the end of my, years in high school, I started to receive a lot more interest from, a lot of big programs around the country. But honestly, Coach McCaffrey provided me the opportunity to go to Iowa at a very young age. I was only a sophomore in high school when I received the offer. So I started, looking into Iowa. I visited Iowa my junior year of high school. And that was my first, experience. And there was I went to a men's basketball game. I went to a football game and a wrestling match at Kinnick, and it was sold out pretty much. And we were wrestling against Oklahoma State, so I got to see how much the community and the people around Iowa City were connected with the university, and I thought it was amazing. And so that was for a first impression, it was really, really good. And then, just continuing to build my relationship with Coach McCaffrey and his staff and the players he had, it was really an easy choice for me. Towards the end of the process, it was a no-brainer. And so, I'm obviously it's still the best decision I've ever made.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So, Shayla, we know that you can't stay with us the whole time, so I do have one more question.
No problem.
For you, and that is, can you share your most significant memory of Luca's experience both on and off the court while he was here at Iowa?
Well, the most, a memory that will always stay in my, forever with us. It's, the unfortunate event that Luca had a surgery there off the court, and the experience with the university hospital and with also the school, university and coaches and everything was, look, he had to, of course, not go to school and, make up the classes and all that, but the everything what we experienced for those really scary days that he had to go through that. It was amazing place that you felt home. You felt like, okay, this is really a good decision to be here, to stay here. He got the great care, and recuperated unbelievably. So that was something that we'll never forget. It was just quite unbelievable.
Right. And it was really, amazing that, with Luca's condition, that the world's leading expert, on his ailment, because you had a big cyst on your spleen, right? That the world's leading expert happened to be at University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics.
You started the research to see, okay, where should we go? What should we do? I was like, oh, we are the perfect place. We don't need to go anywhere.
Yes.
It's right there. And that they were familiar with, this is rare. It's not that common that, and it's such a large cyst that will develop. So we were so fortunate that and he was so fortunate to be there, and it was that's something that we were lucky.
Right. That was a very fortunate set of circumstances, and I know that, Luca, you've always tried to kind of pay this forward, as it were, that you've shown a lot of gratitude toward University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics. You've spent time with patients at the Children's Hospital, and that you've stated repeatedly that you deeply appreciated the kind of treatment and support you got from UIHC. And so, and that's something that it has to be difficult, especially if you're an athlete, because you depend on your body, you depend on your health. You are always conscious of how you feel. And when something like that happened, it must have been, a real shock to you. And obviously from, a parent's perspective, something like that can really, really be traumatic. And we're just thankful that everything turned out as well as it did.
Definitely.
Yes.
Dr. Howe really, and the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics, kind of saved my basketball career potentially. Who knows what could have happened. So I'm very thankful that I was at the University of Iowa, and that's at that time of my life, pushing through that adversity, changed me and changed who I was, and it's an experience I'll never forget, and and I'm so excited now that I'm going to be in a position where I can start being able to give back, and I've already started that process of giving back to the University of Iowa and Children's Hospital.
Right. Well, thank you. And Shayla, it was such a delight to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, as well.
Thank you for spending time with us, and best of luck to you, where we're all looking forward to what comes next.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Shayla.
Okay.
Bye. And Luca, just to kind of continue in this same vein, I think we have a photo that we want to show of you and the team on a trip to Germany and Italy when you were in your first year. And so we're wondering how international travel and life experience, how that helped you at Iowa, both in terms of your game on the one hand, but also just personally and academically.
It helped me in a number of ways. I remember this trip, like it was yesterday. And honestly, one of the most important things to me during this trip was during our last game. My grandfather and my grandmother got to come watch me play for what was, the last time my grandpa saw me in person play, and honestly, it was the first time he had seen me play in a competitive, game. Obviously, he'd watch me work out and do different things like that, but he'd never seen me play. So it was the first and last time he ever got to see me play, and that was awesome and amazing for me, and something that couldn't have happened without the University of Iowa in this trip. But it's amazing. There's a lot of areas in Europe that I haven't been to, and there are some that I've been to. So when we went to Italy and Venice, I'd already been there, but Germany and France, the other places, I hadn't been to. So, just continuing to, immerse myself in different cultures and learn about different cultures is something that I'm very passionate about. And, that's something I look forward to doing when, hopefully when I'm done playing basketball is to travel these areas and these areas of the world that I haven't been to and learn more and more about it, because it just, there's only so much you can learn from just the people around you. You got to go to different places and meet different people, because, there's so many beautiful and amazing people in the world that, you got to be able to give yourself the chance to experience that.
Right. And I would think that, the style of play, kind of factors into that as well, because if you're exposed to different teams and different kind of strategies, you assimilate all of that and try to incorporate it into your own game. And that kind of, leads me into the next question, which is, so you've played in Europe, and so I'm kind of wondering from your perspective what the differences are between playing there and in the US.
There's a lot of differences. I think, the most apparent differences kind of started, before I was even alive. When my uncle was playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
and, Yugoslavia was still Yugoslavia. They, were the Yugoslavian junior national team my uncle played on beat the U.S. in the World Games. And, the biggest thing that stuck out about European players was how skilled they were.
Mm-hmm.
At any position, even the big men could shoot. And back then, it wasn't very, very common. And nowadays we see, to be able to play in the NBA now, you have to be able to shoot. You have to be able to be skilled. You have to be able to do these things, much similar to, what Europeans have been able to do for a very long time. And so, European basketball, it's amazing. There's so much passion for the sport. I have 3 cousins that all play professionally in Europe right now, in different areas. One in Bologna, Torino, and another one I forget off the top of my head. And those fans love the game, and they love their teams. They support their teams like, we support our NBA teams. And so, it's amazing over there, and I'm looking forward to experiencing it more as, I'm getting dual citizenship to be able to play for the Bosnian national team. And I've been in contact with a lot of great players, and obviously Yusuf Nurkic, who plays for the Portland Trail Blazers, is playing right now against Denver in the NBA playoffs. But he wanted to make sure that I did get my dual citizenship and that I would play for the Bosnian national team, and honestly join one of my cousins who plays in the national team as well. So I'm very, very excited to do that in the future and play and represent Bosnia.
Right. No, that would be, yeah. That would be wonderful. And you referenced those teams from Yugoslavia back in the 80s and 90s. They were fantastic. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they win a gold medal at the Olympics? I can't remember which year it was, but they were
the one that you're referring to wasn't the Olympics. It was the junior national team. That's the team my uncle was on.
Okay.
The U.S. and they did win, the gold. And this was, you're talking about Tony Kukoc,
right?
Divac, Petrovic, so many, amazing, basketball players. And so, to hear those stories when I go over to Europe and sit down with my uncle and to hear these stories about these great players, it's amazing. And so there have been a lot of very, very talented players from that area. And still in today's NBA game, if Yugoslavia was still, together, you can't imagine the type of team they'd have. It'd be the second, if not first or best team in the world, against the USA. There's just so many, you see, every night you see another European player and who's dominating. And this year, the MVP is going to be Serbian.
Exactly. And so, basketball obviously has a huge international appeal. That's part of what the NBA has tried to promote, because the NBA is popular, obviously, in North America, Europe, Asia, Latin America as well. What do you think is the international or the global appeal of basketball? Why does it reach such a wide audience, and how has it become so popular across the world so quickly?
I think besides soccer, it's the most popular. Obviously, soccer is so followed over there, but I think basketball is just a wonderful sport that does bring these countries, these cultures together. When you talk about the Olympics and how guys can represent their own countries and win for their countries, it's something that there's so many stories about the Olympics and guys and how much pride they have to represent their own countries. And I think with the NBA and especially with Michael Jordan, that's kind of where it first started to get the global appeal, is because everyone loves the game, but you want to love the best that do it, and obviously the best players in the world playing the NBA. So it's always amazing to watch the NBA, and we're very fortunate that we have these games we can go to 20, 30 minutes away from our homes, and people around the world are following those games.
Sure. And, you draw the parallel between basketball and soccer. And, I think one of the parallels is that, you can have a pickup game of soccer or a pickup game of basketball in like no time at all. All you need is a ball, and you need a ball and a hoop. And with soccer, you need a ball and a goal, and you can have a makeshift goal, like you can have a makeshift hoop as well. So that just means that anybody can play anytime, and that's got to have a universal appeal.
Yeah, no matter where you are, if you drive by a court, it's not very often you won't see anybody out there. There's always someone shooting or working on their game or just having fun and playing the game. There's so many different levels to it. There's obviously people that take it the most serious, that want to be professional basketball players, but you also just have people who want to have fun, who want to exercise, who want to just enjoy the sport for what it is, and so that's the beauty of it.
Right. And so speaking of just enjoying the game and having fun, because we know that you're very driven, you're very determined, you're very disciplined, you've got terrific work ethic. But tell us about your most fun moment on the court here at Iowa, when you just kind of said to yourself, man, this game is great. I really enjoy what I'm doing and I'm having a blast.
I'd have to go back. Obviously there were so many great memories, this past year, my senior year. But I'd have to go back to my junior year, honestly, because, we were able to share that with the crowd, with the fans. Carvajal Arena, and the games I remember that I will always remember at home would be when we beat Illinois. We had a very fun game and a close game down the stretch, and when we beat Michigan at home. I think those two were some very, very fun games, especially in sold out crowds. So we were able to win and experience that. And even if you go back to my sophomore year, we only stormed the court once at Iowa, and it's because my junior and senior year we became one of the more notable programs. So we didn't need to storm the court, and we expected to beat those people. But my sophomore year, we were up and coming, and we beat the number 4 team in the country, Michigan, at home, and got to storm the court and experience that with the fans. So it was an amazing experience, and so it's always fun to have played at the University of Iowa. There's nothing like college basketball, and I had memories forever that I'll just replay in my head, and moments, and so sometimes you wish you could relive those moments, but that's the exciting thing about basketball, is there's always more. So I'm excited.
Right. Well, I think everyone's grateful to you and the team for beating Michigan at home. I mean, that was memorable, and I think that was kind of like the basketball equivalent of when we beat Ohio State here a few years ago. I mean, I was at that game, and it was just, it was unbelievable. Just kind of the level of joy, that you could feel in the building. And so we have you two and your teammates, obviously, to thank for that. And how about Iowa City itself? We talked a little bit about it, and your mom referenced it as well. I mean, Iowa City is a very fun place to live. Can you share kind of some of your best memories of just being in town?
There's so many, from pre-COVID, walking around and just seeing, how many people there were, walking from class to class, meeting, new people. I became friends with, not only athletes, but, regular students. And I wanted to know as many people as I could. So, I got to know a lot of great people. And I think, there's so many great parts about the campus, when you sit down and, eat at different restaurants downtown. Pullman Bar and Diner is probably one of my favorites. And there's so many around, Iowa City, that, I love. And you go there with your friends, and you spend time there. And it's awesome. There's always more new people to meet. And especially with how connected, the University of Iowa is with our sports programs. It's amazing to meet all those people. And, also I'd say, being a part, my freshman year, and was the first time, but being a part of the Wave at Kinnick Stadium is something that, is second to none feelings I've ever had. It's just an amazing, what the connection is between the University of Iowa hospitals and the University of Iowa. There's such a deep connection there, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. So it's truly second to none in terms of an experience, a college experience.
Right. I mean, and the fact that, when you mentioned the Wave, that it went, from, just something that sort of happened organically to the greatest tradition in college sports, in the space of a year is phenomenal. And, anyone who experiences that never forgets it. And so, yeah, that's part of it's not just the sports culture, it's part of the medical culture, it's part of just being in Iowa City. And, you mentioned the restaurants. I mean, my hope is that that someday a restaurant names a sandwich after you. I think that your presence here has been so memorable that someone somewhere needs to come up with the Luka Garza special, and that it'll be one of the many ways in which we will remember you. And so obviously, you've excelled on the court, but you excelled in the classroom too. And, one of the questions that came in from a viewer before the webinar started was how you balanced academics with your practice schedule and then with the game schedule, because this is rigorous. I mean, it's basically all year. I mean, how do you manage all of that?
It's not easy, but I'm very thankful for the high school I went to, Murray School in Washington, D.C. It's one of the top private schools in America, and that really prepared me going into college. But once I got to college, I think the biggest thing was, the academic staff, whether it's teachers that are very understanding of my schedule and know that it's harder for me than, a regular student sometimes to be able to be at class or, to make it, to have time to study or whatever the case may be. So, the amount of teachers that I've had that have, helped me, given me an extension, caught me up or had an individual meeting to catch me up what I missed in class. It's unbelievable. And I'm very thankful for that. And also when you talk about, advisors, my academic advisors, and also, the athletic academic advisors from, the University of Iowa basketball program that they, gave to me as well. I had so many great advisors around me to help me, balance my schedule, make sure I was taking the right amount of classes, the right, hard classes, but also mixing in, classes that are not as tough. So I can have an easier schedule. It's amazing. I've definitely, that's the reason I graduated, was because of the people around me that, helped kind of make it easy for me to be able to do it. Because, as you said, when you play, on the road at Michigan State and the game ends at 11 o'clock and you've got class at 8 a.m., it's tough. It's tough, to be able to get time to do homework in or study. And I always found the time because I valued how important the education is. And, that's when I was deciding to come back to the University of Iowa after my junior year. My mother was one of the main people who was in my year. Everyone's talking about basketball. My mother's like, you better go back and get your degree. And so that was something that was very important to me and I wanted to do, and I did it.
Right, and obviously we're very grateful to you for finishing your academic career with us, because that's a hard choice. There's a lot that goes through your mind. You've got all sorts of opportunities, and yet you chose to come back, play with your teammates, finish your degree, and finish your full 4 years here at Iowa. And that's kind of the exception now rather than the rule. But I think we're all better off for it. And so I think you definitely made the right decision. So just to talk a little bit about the classes you took, I want to ask sort of what was your favorite class that you took here, and what was your toughest class? Maybe they're one and the same, but I'm just wondering from your perspective.
There are a lot of classes that I really enjoyed. I ended up being an economics major, but if I were to ever change it, I would change this statistics, because I took a statistics course that I loved and had a lot of fun with. I've always been a numbers guy and a math guy, so that was something that I loved that class. I took when you have the option to take as many as electives as you can at the University of Iowa for your degree, and they make sure that you do that. You take a lot of very, very interesting classes, and then I took an Asian art and culture class. I took a bunch of different classes that were really fun, really unique, and I learned about a lot of different things. And even just like rhetoric, your freshman year, you get to see a lot of faces, because everyone pretty much has to take that class. So you get to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people from different majors, and get to work with those people. But my favorite, I'd say, was the statistics class, and my least favorite or hardest class was managerial accounting. It was the financial and managerial accounting. You can ask any business student; those are the two hardest classes in the business school. And so it was tough. Like my mom mentioned, she had to help me, especially with those two classes. And obviously, the University of Iowa provided me a lot of tutors and a lot of good people to help me get through those classes. But there's a lot of great classes, especially within the business school, but outside all the electives that I learned a lot about different things.
Very good, very good. And basketball is a game of numbers, and you like statistics, and you're a self-proclaimed numbers guy. So let me ask you two questions. One is that, do you follow your own stats a lot? And then on a more general level, what's your favorite stat, especially in this kind of sabermetrics era where all sorts of new stats are being created in all sports? I'm just wondering, kind of what stats do you pay attention to? And then just on the kind of a larger level, what new basketball stats do you find interesting?
Well, I think, first of all, I think, now that I've finished my career at the University of Iowa, I look back at the statistics as memories and different things like that. But, when I'm playing, when I'm in a season, that's not my focus. Obviously, the only statistic I'm caring about is the win and loss record. And so I'd say my favorite statistic, from, my time at the University of Iowa was that we got a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Which hadn't been done at the University of Iowa in a very long time. But also, I think, one of the most interesting ones that is now, a lot more common is plus minus, where when you're on the floor, how is your team doing? And I think, last 2 years, I led the country, I think, in offensive plus minus. So I think that was, something I always, try to prove out there, is that, when I'm on the floor, the team is better. So I just wanted to help my team and be out there and be effective. And so to know that, not only in my mind, in my coach's mind, and my teammates' mind, but to be a statistic to prove that is definitely very special.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned plus minus. I'm a big hockey fan, and plus minus is a pretty major stat in hockey. And I didn't know if it was in basketball, or just, you saying that right now, I've learned something. I didn't know that the plus minus formula was applied to basketball. It makes perfect sense that it would be, but maybe it's gaining more currency now than it did in the past.
Definitely. It definitely is. It's, one of the newer stats. You used to look at a stat sheet and it would just be points, rebounds, assists, field goal attempts, all that stuff. And now every stat sheet you see has a category with plus minus.
Yeah, we've gone way beyond the days of the triple double. I mean, the triple double is still very important, but there's a lot more that goes into evaluating personnel now.
Definitely.
Okay. Just a couple of other questions before we move to our audience. Is that you're obviously a very driven person, both in the classroom and on the court. And you've talked a little bit about this, but how do you keep motivating yourself? Because it's got to be, at least somewhat difficult. I mean, you're still a young guy. The world is open to you. How do you keep pushing? How do you keep your focus? And how do your goals change over time?
My goals are always changing. They're always adjusting to the times and what I need to do. I never, put a limit or a box on myself in terms of what I can achieve. But I think, the biggest thing, is how I was raised. My mother and father raised me to be, a lot of different things, but academically, they always wanted me to be a well-rounded individual. That was something I always heard, especially in high school at the school I went to. But, my parents always wanted me to not only just be a basketball player. They wanted me to be a good student. I played music. I did different things. I experienced different things so I could, really decide, what I wanted to be. I didn't just automatically just go to basketball. I got to experience different things and see. And obviously, the passion that I have for the game of basketball, the love I have for the game of basketball is the reason I work so hard. And that's really the only reason is I'm motivated because, I love it. And I want to become the best basketball player I possibly can. And I haven't reached that yet. And who knows if I'll ever reach that. There's very few people that can actually maximize their potential as an athlete. And I think, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, those types have done it. And, the rest, fall short. But, that's why, I'm always pushing because there's always something you can be doing better on the court, in the classroom, anywhere. You can always do something better. And so that's my motivation. If I'm not doing it the best, then I want to be doing it the best. So I'm just going to continue to work hard to be able to do that. Right.
And do you have, players that you admire that you want to be like who are in the NBA now or who are playing in Europe, for example?
There's a ton. I think, LeBron James is my, favorite player of all time, a role model of mine in terms of his work ethic and even his well-roundedness and how he has dealt with, a lot of different things, how he gives back to his community, how he, is a face for a lot of social issues and around the world. And so, he is my favorite player. And, there's a lot more, just basketball wise. I love watching, Yusuf Nurkic play, a Bosnian guy. Also Nikola Jokic, who I mentioned would be the MVP this year. He's a tremendous player and he's fun to watch. And I see a lot of similarities and I try to add to my game like he has added to his game. And so, there's a ton. I can keep going. Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls is another really good player. But I admire and I love watching basketball, and I'm watching the playoffs almost every night. And I'd be silly if I didn't remember the guy who shares my first name in Luka Garza, who was actually I'd heard about when I was younger. My mom and my family in Europe were always telling me there's another Luka, and he's my age. And they were telling me he's the next guy. And, I was always excited to see him play. And when I first did, I was like, this guy's going to be really special.
Well, in the video, you talk about working on your 3-point shot, and Doncic is the master, right? I mean, I look at ESPN highlights every so often, and it always seems like they're, showing him dropping threes from just all over the place. I mean, obviously they're Steph Curry, but Luka Doncic is kind of right behind him. And for a big guy, especially, I mean, he really is unbelievable in that realm.
Definitely, definitely. that's when we talked about European basketball, is just being very skilled, and what Luka Doncic does at his size, being 6'7", 6'8", and bringing the ball up, point guard, doing all that stuff it's the modern, it's the new NBA, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And when you even talk about Nikola Jokic, who's 6'11", he brings the ball up, and he's a center, right. And he shoots three very well as well. So for me, I always had a 3-point shot. I always worked on it, but when this interview came out, was after my sophomore year, and I shot the worst percentage I've shot from three in my career, and then I made a 8% jump the next year, and then another 8% jump again to shoot 44% my senior year, which is something I'm very proud of, and beat out my dad who shot 42%, so I have the bragging rights on that as well.
There you go. Well, I mean, that's all part of being a complete player, because I mean, the idea is that you can score from anywhere, you can defend anywhere on the court. You're maybe that's where the plus minus comes in, because you're so versatile.
Oh, definitely. I try to do as much as I can. I always wanted to be multi-talented and do whatever my team needed me to do, especially on the offensive end, be able to shoot it from outside, score on the inside, score in the mid-range, do whatever. And now I'm working and continue to work on myself to improve and be a better defender and continue to work on my offensive game.
No, that's great. And so what is next for Luka Garza?
As I mentioned earlier, I signed with my agent here local in Washington, D.C. So right now I'm just preparing for the NBA draft. I have the NBA Combine coming up in around 2.5 weeks. I'm very excited for that. I've been working very hard. I've lost some weight. I've committed to myself and changing my body. And so I'm very, very excited to see what happens and where I end up come July 29th.
That's so cool. Well, yeah, we've got that date circled on our calendar, so for sure. So, Luca, let me ask you a couple of questions from the audience before we sign off. One viewer asks, she says, I've been to Bosnia Herzegovina, and I love the people and culture. My son and daughter also graduated from the UI. I'm just curious, are you of Latino ancestry on your father's side?
Honestly, I really don't know. My dad, I know for sure there is some Latino background with my dad and the name Garza. But I think we're just kind of a mix of a lot of different things, whether it's Spanish or, Italian or something, that's all kind of combined together. But, there's no deep, Latin roots that I know of. But, I think there is something in there.
Right. Very good. Very good. Next question from a viewer is there a significance to your jersey number, 55?
Yes. My father wore number 55 and when he played. So that's why I took the number. When I was younger, my dad was always my role model. He still is my role model. And then I wanted to be just like him. So, I chose that number and I stuck with it. And, that number, holds a special place in my heart.
Very good. And then next question is, what advice would you give to your teammates who were just starting summer practice to maintain their success going into next season?
I've talked to, a lot of players on the team, and it's really just, about working hard. They're going to be a new team this year with a new identity, and then they have to find it. They have to work hard. They have to commit themselves to, improving every single day. And, certain guys need to step up as leaders. And it's really, really great that, Jordan Bohannon is coming back as a 6-year guy who is experienced, who knows a lot, and he will, be able to help lead this team along with Connor McCaffrey and a lot of great players that we do have. But I'm excited to watch as a fan now, Iowa basketball, and Coach McCaffrey is the coach and has led this program in the right direction, and we'll continue to do so.
All right, that's great, Luca. And then we've got one final comment from an international Hawkeye who says, "Thank you and good luck in this year's draft. We know that you'll be following the Hawkeyes from your new perch in the NBA." and hope that you'll be able to show up at Carver Hawkeye every once in a while as you travel the country.
I definitely will be. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
All right. Well, it's us who thank you, Luca. Thank you for making time. Good luck with the draft. We know you're going to do great, and there are wonderful things ahead in your future.
Thank you. Thank you again so much. This was awesome, and it was always fun speaking with you and meeting you. Thank you.
Exactly. And so to our audience, thank you for your attendance tonight. Thank you for your questions. And stay tuned for our next Global Spotlight Series, which will happen probably in August or September. We'll be continuing with this series throughout the academic year. So everyone, have a wonderful evening, have a wonderful summer, and we'll keep in touch. Take care. Bye-bye.